Well, now, I think it's time for a story. It's the story of the carburetor that's been rebuilt. This carburetor is probably older than me, and it's been rebuilt for the price of, with tax, $325 by Carbs Unlimited, based in Auburn, Washington. Now this carb, new carbs, I see here like $500 now. That's too much. So that's why I took this to Carbs Unlimited, and they've rebuilt it, and it is now hopefully functions like new, and we're about to put it on. Must have drained it good too, because it hasn't dripped any gas on me. That's a plus. Nothing like the feeling of gas on your skin. Anyways, the story goes like this. It's a hot day. I hate to see the El Camino just sit. It's time to get busy. Look what we've got here. This is my adapter to fit a square carburetor onto a spread bore 1968 high horsepower intake. Came on Camaros and Corvettes, and it's got the temperature sensor delete. And I'm going to just scour this baby down a little bit, maybe hit it with the vacuum, and put on the adapter, carburetor on. And what we're going to do, this should be loads of fun, we'll try out the wrist mount for the GoPro. So just so y'all know, this was my adapter last time. Just a thick, gnarly gasket that just came out of a box that I had, and I think it just barely did the job. So we'll see how the new adapter, you can see the difference. We'll see how it all plays out. Alright, as the story continues, I have scraped with a razor blade, vacuumed with the shop vac, and wiped with alcohol and a rag. And it's, oh, I even used some sandpaper, a little bit of sandpaper, and this is what I still got. But it's pretty flush, and it's not going to leak. So let's look at the bottom again. Look at all these castings, things over here, here and here and here. And then there's even some rivet castings to recess those rivets in there. But let's look at how this Edelbrock 2732, it fits on here and it blocks all that stuff out. Isn't that cool? So it's just, and we're gonna just lay it right on here. Get us a nice brand new gasket. Came with the Edelbrock kit, but look at that. That is absolutely no good. Look at how much smaller that is. It's never gonna work. let's see, but the gasket fits right on this adapter. That is classic. How much smaller this carburetor is than the openings. I can't even believe that this would work. But then again, we're gonna do it. See, look at that. This is definitely a high horse intake, because I'm going for, hey, I just want it to go down the road, get at least 10 miles a gallon. And just run good. There we go. Okay, that's pretty close. Just set this right on here. Here are my floats. Okay. Okay, that's close. But what did I forget? Why didn't you guys remind me? Okay, here it is. Now the story behind this engine is this car sat stored in a storage unit for 29 years after it had this Corvette 327 put in it. And it's also numbers for a 1968. The numbers do jive for the intake and the block. 1968 to 327, and like 275 horse and up. It just depends. Nobody really knows what's in there from what I looked up on the internet. So let's just take a feel. See, it feels like I need a riser, because now let's look back when I put this big funky gasket in there. It was, and it can be used for a little while. Let's see, it was functioning, and look at how the gasket fits that. But let's see, how does it feel? I mean, it must have been all right. No. Okay, so when I would drive it, I could only accelerate it that much open. Okay, so I actually drove it for a couple years after I revived this engine with this car. I mean, the oil was gel. I had to coax it out with a stick of bamboo. I swapped the carb. I've swapped almost everything that moves on the engine except for the core engine. I've never pulled the intake. I don't even think I've pulled the valve covers. So these valve cover gaskets are 30 years old, along with this. The intake gasket I patched up. But yeah, it's got new every other gasket you can think of. So yeah, have to halt the project, get a riser, maybe just go down to O'Reilly, get the riser spacer, and then I can actually open up this engine all for the first time. So I'm looking forward to that. Hey, we're back, and you know what? I spent a little time. I dug through a couple boxes that I had, and you know, I have never run a Holley carburetor on anything. All the old cars I ever bought already had carters on them, and someone must have given me a couple of these. But on this Holley carburetor is just the spacer that I need. So I'm going to whip this off and fit it to my intake, and then I can continue with the project. But check this out. I found another old carburetor. And this carburetor, it actually says Carter AFB on it, which is cool. And I believe it's just an older model of the one I just had rebuilt. Here's the number, 9625. Let's just look. Anyways, I am happy because I reached out to a couple friends. I'm like, hey, do you got a carb spacer? They're like, I'm at work. Let me look. Tomorrow. So here we go. What does that say? 9635. Cool. This spacer's not going to work. Won't be necessary. So I'm about to get it on with my project. Happy about it. This adapter, as I was saying, has studs with little micro bolts that fit in the slots that look just like this. They're on the other side. So I had to slip those loose studs in there first, and these screws, although they're round, fit in these square holes. And we'll get this mounted to the intake. And you know, when I was a kid, when I first got my first car, and my buddy Jason was instrumental in me getting a Chevrolet, because every day in high school, before I had a car, he would be driving to school in his 69 Nova, and he would pick me up, and we had some good times in that Nova. We did crazy stuff that kids do, and it was really an influence on what car became my first car, which is a 66 Chevelle. And it makes me think back to when I first learned, come on mosquito, first learned that all these Chevy engines, from the smallest small block, like the 262, which I never had, a 283, 307, 305, 327, 350, they all had interchanging parts. And it just blew my mind, and that's when I started learning about cars and the small block Chevy engine, which is magnificent. And I gotta get this thing on here. Anyways, we'll come back to that when I can get this threaded. Almost done torquing it down. This comes in handy when you have a square screwdriver. Oh, give it everything you got. Don't want a vacuum leak, right? Okay. Now, obviously, I wasted money on this thing. I think it was like 20 bucks. Lame. Maybe I can keep it for my next project. Here goes nothing. Outside holes. Can't see. All right, now these studs, look at how they barely barely have any threads. I have to back these out a bit. Now, I was missing one stud kit piece, so that's a bolt and a stud. I know it's at the end of its rope, but these ones, I know that I had some a little bit sticking out. Oh, that's why I can't see them, because they have to pull them up. Okay, so I can go back down with these. Gave the appearance that I wasn't going to have enough. Enough thread to bite down with the bolts. Okay. False alarm. Get this thing on here. Nice. Come on, baby. Okay. Alright. I can feel I've got stud coming out. Each one. Now this is going to be the hard part, because these nuts got the lock washers, which is going to encompass most of this thread right there, and then see how you can't see anymore. So I need something like I got my MacGyver tool. So I have this, just happen to have this thin copper wire. I'm gonna hold it up with the tip of that wire, put the washer on, and then grab some threads, just like that. Okay. Now, the one thing about this design is there's nothing that's going to keep this stud from spinning inside the hole on its nut on the other end. Hopefully it just tightens down like it's supposed to. I want to see thread at the top of my nuts. Know what I'm saying? Alright, I might have to, I think I'm going to retract this one out a little bit more. I don't trust it. And I just have to hope that it goes on nicely. Oh, there goes the orange cat. Stalking the birds. Oh, those were the easy ones. You want to watch me do the hard ones. No, no one wants to see this. Okay. Now, come on, just there we go. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, this one I can see. Okay, back it out a little bit. Okay, right about there. Washer. No. Oh my gosh, we're so close. Got me nut driver and an extension. All right, let's just hope for the best here. Give it just a little shot. Give it a little bit over here. Good. Just barely touching the trigger. Okay, now I'll give it a little more. There we go. Looks like a Bob Ross painting. cinching down this carburetor. Making it happier. It's really gentle. You don't want to go crazy on this. You never know, you could strip something. Okay, now give it a little juice with a wrench that I don't have, and whatever, I'll use this. It doesn't adjust that well, so it needs a little moving anyway. Ooh, those are just snug. Getting snugger. Let's get it on there so it feels tight. So you're confident that it's not going to come loose, and you're not going to pull out the threads either. Sucking down that gasket with your nets. Now you got steel gasket, aluminum gasket, more aluminum. My buddy, I called an old buddy of mine looking for the spacer, and he was talking about plastic spacers, Flenic, he called it. And I would take any spacer. So obviously when I go buy something, it's wrong. So I didn't do my homework. Oh, this one is really loose. It'd be cool. I just want to start this thing. Yeah, some fire shot right up at the camera, but it didn't damage it. Play that in slow motion. Okay, this is the one I just can't see. That feels good enough. Remember, you got the lock washer in there and all the stuff to compress. And I'm really good at messing stuff up, so let's not mess this up. Go for a cruise. Yay. All right. Hook up all my little linkages and stuff, and we'll be good. Very good. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, I put my gloves on and now I can't pick shit up. Okay. No, it's not that. It's not gonna fit. They gave me a real grommet. Let me see. I would like to have a washer in there. I might have to get a thinner one though. Oh, this is gonna be tight. A nice, super skinny washer would be more appropriate fit. Got my homemade cotter pin on here, which, no, I don't have it on here, but I've got it here. Let me get out the needle and those pliers. Okay, now if I just put this on here, it's gonna be a little wobbly. All right, I'm gonna hook the rest of the stuff up and then we're gonna fire. Now, all right, before I get too excited, I need to hook up the electric choke. Now, check this out. All the years I've been in the Chevelle, I've never had a luxury of any kind of choke. So I found a way to make this work quickly and easily. This wire is out of a clothes dryer, by the way, and back here is a wire that is for the factory tack that wasn't factory to this vehicle, but someone had a knee knocker tack in here, which is a factory Chevelle item, and it was wired through this wire to the fuse box inside and the tack. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is take my, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to hook this to that. And we're going to call it good. In the meantime, we'll get a little bit of this stuff. Slip it right on here. And let's just plug this in here for now. And we'll give it a little pinch. So I need to provide some power to this choke. Okay, that should do it. Slide this right over there. Okay, hey, look at that. Hides that. Now this is going to be the fun and easy part. Is look what we got under the dash. Now this is just been under here. It's the harness for the knee knocker tack, which mounted right here, which I put a cell phone holder on it. But here's the, I didn't add this. The pink wire is ignition fused. The brown wire is, you know what it is, it's for the tack. Alright, so I just had a jumper wire. My battery died. And we've got supposedly power to the carburetor. So now I will put this back over here so we can catch a big flame coming out of the carburetor. Just kidding. Hopefully it doesn't do that. If it does, we'll be ready. And let's just hope this thing fires up. So not much fuel in there. It might take a minute. Fire! Okay, now I saw a bunch of it pump in there. Oops. The fuel filter is pretty full. Not hearing any squishing in there yet. Running and my foot's not on the pedal, feathering it. Wow. That is so cool. I can't believe I actually started an old car without sitting inside. I could just sit here and stare at it. So. Yeah. Okay, a minute has passed. The choke is opening wider. Fuel pressure looks good.